What is up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the numbers. These are my Draftkings MMA picks for UFC Vegas 92. We have Lerone Murphy going against Edson Barboza. We are back in the Apex for a 12-fight card, and yeah, very interesting card from a Draftkings perspective. This is a card where I'm digging the mid-range quite a bit. I think there's a lot of favorites that are going to come through. And yeah, it's an interesting slate. Can't wait to break it down. Sorry, guys, for the late release. They took a while to get the Omar Sai and Tuco Tokus salaries out, but they put Sai at 9,600. They put Tokus at 6,600, which kind of surprised me. I thought they might have slid Sai in that 9,100, but no, they put him as the most expensive fighter on the slate, which is interesting. But yeah, as always, gonna be breaking down these fights from a DraftKings perspective. Before we get into, if you guys could like the video, subscribe to the channel. It is always much appreciated. And I say we get into it. We're going to start with these fight doesn't go to decision lines. And up top, we have the Nolan Martinez fight doesn't go to decision sitting at minus 400. And yeah, for me, it's pretty much a one-sided fight for me. Tom Nolan, 9,500. He's now the second most expensive fighter on the card, right behind Sai, who is 9,600. And I think Nolan has a lot of upside here. I think Nolan has a ton of power. This is a guy that is 6'3" at lightweight. He's coming off of a first-round knockout loss, but they're kind of throwing him a bone here in Victor Martinez. You know, Victor Martinez, the big thing with him is he literally just got knocked out by Jordan Levitt, so it's pretty easy to see Nolan going out there and starching Victor Martinez probably in the first round. So I like Nolan here at 9,500. Victor Martinez is like the ultimate dart throw in terms of, Nolan still is only 24 years old. He only has 7 fights. Martinez is more experienced, but I'm mostly going to be on Nolan this week. Then we have Magomedov going against Alves, minus 325 for that fight. Doesn't go to decision. Another fight that I think definitely does finish here one way or another. And I think it's a good fight to target both sides. With Abus Magomedov, I think he's very front-loaded, and I think he's pretty dependent on a finish within the first round and a half maybe, if that. Probably just the first round, because anytime we've seen this guy in the second, in the third, it's just looked bad. I mean, the Sean Strickland fight was a terrible look. He looked awful in the third round against Kyle Bahayo. And Alves isn't a guy that has great cardio in his own right, but I think he has shown the ability to go into the second and third round and still have success, whereas with Abus, he just hasn't shown it yet thus far in the UFC. And even outside the UFC, this guy is starching guys in the first round as well. So, but for that reason, you got a guy here in Abus Magomedov with first round finish upside at 9K. He's definitely in play, but I think Warlley Alves down low at 7,200 makes some sense just because if he can survive the first 5 minutes here, I think his chances of winning skyrocket. So a good fight to target overall, and a fight I think finishes one way or another. Next, we have Adrian Yanez going against Vinicius Salvador. This is kind of like the Nolan fight for me. We got another big favorite here with Adrian Yanez. I like Yanez here a decent amount. 9,300, he's expensive, but just like Nolan, I think Yanez has some knockdown upside, some knockout upside. I think it could potentially come early as well. I just don't think Vinicius Salvador is on the level of Adrian Yanez, to be honest. Salvador's a guy that, he's coming up to bantamweight here. He's 0-2 at flyweight in the UFC. His last win comes against Shannon Ross, and it's a big step up in competition for Salvador, and quite frankly, it's just a big step down in competition for Yanez. I think Yanez gets back on track here at 9,300 and gets a knockout probably within the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to be having a decent amount of Yanez. As far as Salvador, another dart throw down low just because Yanez has been knocked out in his last 2 fights, but again, it's against really good guys like Jonathan Martinez and Rob Font. So mostly on the Yanez side for me here in this one. And then finally, we got Themba Gorimbo going against Ramiz Brahimaj, minus 225 for the fight. Doesn't go to decision. Now, this is a fight where I think you have to target both sides here. I think both guys have a ton of upside. With Ramiz Brahimaj, this guy cannot be ignored at 7,800. He has a 100% finish rate, and 9 of those 10 wins come in the first round. A guy like that you have to get some exposure to because of his win condition. His win condition is an early finish within the first round and a half. And then as far as Themba Gorimbo, I think he can potentially finish this fight if it does get extended. I think if he survives the first round, his chances of winning skyrocket. And I just feel like this fight's going to be a very high-paced fight. Can get some reversals in there, maybe some knockdowns in there, some takedowns for sure up in there as well, some control time. I feel like the winner's just going to put up a very big score. So a fight I'm going to be very heavily invested in on both sides is this Gorimbo-Brahimaj fight. But other than I'm liking Yanez, I'm liking Nolan, and then I like Magomedov, and then I think Warlley Alves is a decent dart throw down low. Getting into the core plays, we talked about him. Tom Nolan, 9,500. It's tough to fully trust the guy after he went out there and got sparked in his last fight against Nicholas Mota, but this is just a completely different matchup. Nicholas Mota has a lot of power. Like that's what Mota's big thing is he has that power, whereas Martinez, I'm just not sure what he's great at. He's 5'8". He's going to be at like a massive height disadvantage here, reach disadvantage as well in Martinez, and I think Tom Nolan really wins this fight however he wants. I think he can knock out Martinez, knock him down a couple times. I think he can even take him down if he wants to. I think he could sub him. I think Nolan has a ton of paths here. And at 9,500, it's expensive, but I'm expecting a finish within the first round and a half. Chaos Williams, 8,200 in the co-main event here. And yeah, I like this matchup for Williams. I think Williams has a couple ways to win this fight. On the feet, I think he's going to be the better striker with a lot more volume. And although I think Harris has some power, Williams does hit harder here. I think Williams is live to potentially find a knockout in any round. Williams does carry that power late. Carlston Harris has been knocked out twice. So yeah, I think there's some avenues here for Williams to not only go out there and win the fight, but go out there and put up a pretty solid score along the way. So I like me some Williams, 8,200. As far as Harris on the other side, I think he has all the grappling upside, but we'll see if he can take down Williams. I'm kind of leading towards he won't be able to, and if that's the case, I think Williams is going to have a ton of success here. We have Angela Hill, 8,300. I actually like Hill, especially in cash games because she's just next level durable, 13 losses. She's only been finished twice by sub. She's never been knocked out in like 29 fights. So I love the durability of Hill. And on top of that, I like the volume a lot. Like Angela Hill's landing almost 6 significant strikes per minute. And she's going against Luana Pinera here, who just has nothing left after the first round and a half. And I mean nothing. She slows down and it happens in every single fight. And Angela Hill's somebody that can push a pace and somebody that can go out there and just load up on the volume. And I think that volume is going to add up. We saw her go out there and put up some really solid scores in her last couple fights and some of her wins. The Dakota win, she scored very well. And I think she can go out there and put up a good performance. She's only 8,300. I'm not expecting a million points here, but I'm expecting a pretty good score and a win for Angela Hill. And even in a loss, like I said, for cash games, I think she has a solid floor as well. And then Adrian Yanez, 9,300. I think it's a levels fight here. I think he knocks out Salvador at some point in this fight. I think he's the better striker. He's fought the better competition. He has a ton of power. Salvador's coming up a weight class, coming up a level of competition especially. I think Yanez finishes Salvador probably within the first 2 rounds here and puts up a nice score there at 9,300. Moving on to the GPP plays, 9,000. Abus Magomedov. In my opinion, he's first round or bust. And for that reason, you got to have some. Because if he does go out there and get a first round knockout at 9K, you're looking pretty good. It's just what happens after that first round I'm very, very concerned about. And that's why I don't mind sprinkling some Warley Alves this week. But if we saw Warley Alves get knocked out in his last fight in the first round by Ikram Alaskarov, he got dropped by a jab, which was a terrible look. And Abus, he's dangerous. He's dangerous early, but I think it has to be early. So I don't mind some Abus. It's hard for me to trust him. I'm still not 100% sure on the guy, but what I am sure about is I think if he wins this fight, it's going to be within the first round and a half. Next, we got Pierre Rodriguez, 8,800. I think this is a very sneaky fight to target, this Rodriguez-Carnelossi fight. I think we can look at both sides here. I don't think it's going to be heavily owned. Rodriguez, 8,800. She has decent power on the feet. She has some wrestling. I believe she's a BJJ brown belt, maybe a black belt. And Carnelossi, somebody that just has terrible metrics. And some of these, her striking defense is 43%. That's awful. Her takedown defense is 8%. So really, I think Pierre Rodriguez can win minutes wherever this fight goes. If she wants to, piece up Carnelossi on the feet, I think she can. If she wants to take down Carnelossi, she absolutely can. So I think there's some paths here for Rodriguez. I think we might even see a finish in this fight as well. So at 8,800, I think she's sneaky. I think she's low owned, and I think she could potentially put up a solid score against Carnelossi here, who everybody seems to put up a solid score when they beat her. Next, we have Themba Gorimbo, 8,400. We talked about this fight. I think it's a very important fight to target. I think whoever wins this fight is going to score very well. I slightly lean towards Brahimaj here. You're getting a $600 price savings on him, but, kind of like Abus, if it doesn't happen in round 1, it's probably not happening. Brahimaj is, I think, 1-3 or maybe even 1-4 in fights that have reached the second round, which is very concerning. So if Themba can hang in there for the first 5-6 minutes, he's probably going to win this fight. It's just Brahimaj is going to be dangerous very early on. So I like Gorimbo here, 8,400. If he does weather that early storm, I think he could potentially get a finish late against Ramiz Brahimaj. And then the Rome Murphy, 8,500. I'm personally, liking the Barbosa side a little bit more. I like the price savings of Barbosa a little bit more, but this is a 5-round fight, and I think there's a good chance somebody gets knocked out here. Barbosa, he's been knocked out quite a few times. He's now 38 years old. Murphy, he has some power. He's the much younger guy as well. There's some reasons to like Murphy, and I will be playing some Murphy, but I think I'm going to be more so on the Barbosa side. But overall, a main event that I'm very excited about, and a main event that I'm going to be pretty heavily exposed to on both sides, with a slight lean towards the underdog. Getting into those live dogs, we have Ramiz Brahimaj, 7,800. His path to victory is, literally a first-round sub. I mean, that's 9 of his 10 wins come in the first round by submission. He does have one submission in the second round, but that second-round submission came within, the first minute of the second round. So it's safe to say if Ramiz is winning this fight, it's in the first 6 minutes. And for that reason, I have some interest. I have some interest in him because his win condition is going to be probably a first-round sub. Edson Barbosa, 7,700. I love the salary here for Barbosa. This is a guy that's more experienced. He's fought the much, much better competition, and he has a lot of power. He's shown that he can put up a lot of volume. He showed that in his last fight against Sodiq Yusuff. He put up 160, 150 significant strikes. It was insane. Put up a massive score there. So yeah, he can go the full 25 if need be, but like I said, he has a ton of power as well. I could see a knockout here from Barbosa. So I love the price savings here. You're getting from Lerone Murphy, who is 8,500. Barbosa at 7,700 definitely has my interest this week. Next, we got Alatang Lee, 7,600, who I think is a very interesting play. I think he has all the tools to win this fight. The problem is he never uses those tools. He has very good wrestling, very strong. He has power on the feet, but he never uses that wrestling until the third round. If Alatang Lee can come in here with a game plan in terms of getting the fight down to the mat, in the first 2 rounds, I think he's very live to win this fight. The problem is we just haven't seen it. He has not landed a takedown within the first 2 rounds of a fight yet, which is insane to me. All his takedowns come in the third round, which at that point it's too little too late. So I'm hoping he goes in there with a better game plan, and if so, he wins this fight. It's hard to trust the guy. So I'm not going to go crazy on it, but he's definitely a live dog if he does have a smart game plan, which we'll see. And then Ariana Carnelosi, 7,400. Like I said earlier, I think it's a low-owned fight where, the winner's going to score very well. I think it could be chaotic. I think we could see a finish. And Carnelosi, decent finisher, 78% finish rate. She has some power. She's a black belt. Don't mind this fight as a whole. But, yeah, don't mind a sprinkle on Carnelosi. I think she's going to be very low-owned. All right, the Prize Picks play of the week is going to be the Emily Ducote more on the fantasy score. So it's actually crazy. So I like the more on the fantasy score for Prize Picks, but on DraftKings, I actually don't like Ducote at all this week, and here's why. On Prize Picks, for significant strikes, you get 0.6 points, which is huge, because I think Emily Ducote is going to go out there and land easily over 100 significant strikes. And then also on Prize Picks, which I like, is you get points for stuffing takedowns. So obviously Vanessa Demopoulos, she's going to go out there and she's going to attempt probably a few takedowns, and those are going to add up. Vanessa Demopoulos is completing takedowns at a 13% accuracy. Ducote's stuffing takedowns at a 92% rate. So yeah, I think everything adds up here in terms of Ducote just smashing from a Prize Picks perspective with those significant strikes, stuffing those takedowns. I think she puts up more than 84.5 fantasy score. If you guys want to check that out, go to Prize Picks and use promo code DFSBTN. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Moving on to the pump plays, really the only pump play that I like is Worley Alvarez, just due to the fact that anytime we've seen Abus in the second round, he has nothing. He has nothing left. So that's the only reason why. Do I feel great about it? No. But I feel better about Alves than I do with some of these other fighters down low, like a Victor Martinez, like Tamares Vidal especially, like a Vinicius Salvador, even like Demopoulos. Like, if I was to pick one down low, it would be Alves, but I think a lot of these favorites roll. And then the fade is going to be Emily Ducote. Like I said, on Prize Picks, I like her. On DraftKings, I do not. You get 0.4 significant strikes from a DraftKings perspective. You do not get points for stuffing takedowns on DraftKings. So yeah, I think Ducote's going to go out there, land well over 100 significant strikes, but she's not going to get takedowns. That'd be very silly, I think, if she did. I think she's going to keep it on the feet and bust up Demopoulos over 15 minutes, and that probably scores like 80 to 85 points on DraftKings, and that's not enough on a slate where you got Tom Nolan, Adrian Yanez, even Melissa Gatto, who we didn't even talk about, and some of these other fighters up top. So going to be fading Emily Ducote this week at 9,200. And there you guys have it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys could, like on your way out, subscribe to the channel, check out dfsbythenumbers.com. That's where you'll find all my content for the week from a DraftKings perspective. And yeah, guys, that's about it. Best of luck for UFC Vegas 92, and we'll talk to you guys soon. See you later.